Bumpers. Bumpers is, it starts with, I sat down, I wrote bumpers in like 3.5, 4 hours. People said, how do you have so much success in so many different industries? How do you do so many different things? And I couldn't articulate that I didn't do so many different things. It's the same thing. It looks different. You all have different names. And the fundamental of it is I feel behind. I need more because somewhere along the line I decided more would solve this problem, right? Like I need tools to build this house. Somewhere along the line we started obsessing over the tools and we forgot about the most efficient way to build the house, right? So we're seeing like, okay, you feel behind, you're rushing, you're pushing, you're doing more and more and more stuff, right? Stuff. More stuff means more resources. You're using more resources. Now you're pushing harder on the gas, like trying to find the NOS button, you know, like where's the nitrous oxide here? And you still got the e-brake on. All bumpers was and still is removing the e-brake. All right, let's take the e-brake off because we know, given our trajectory, if we don't blow ourselves up, we're probably going to do pretty okay, especially if we're sitting in this room, right? We were here, now we're here. As long as we don't like keel over and die or have something tragic happen, we're probably going to be okay.
All right, how would I introduce? I don't really have a formal introduction for Nick. What I would say is that I met him a few months ago, and in this, in Jeff Moore, used to own Wild Things Seafood, and Jeff Spencer, who's been in Genius Network in the past. You know, he's one of Nick's dear friends. Nick knows Jay Abraham, like Steve Sims. You know, lots of people had been telling me about Nick, and then Jason was actually utilizing the Wolf Den, which is this ecosystem that he created. And he can talk about that. You can talk about crypto as much as you want, a little. What I really would like Nick to kind of share is he wrote this book called Bumpers, and it is a little tiny book you can get on Amazon. I introduced him to Anna David and said, let's fix all the typos and stuff. And I told him that to get it recorded on audio, but he's really lazy, as you'll see. And so I told him that I'll record the audio book if you want me to, because the damn concept is really great. So a couple things, obviously, like you mentioned yesterday, the platform he created is now worth over $100 million. Guy's got a lot of money. He's made people a lot of money, smart dude. And he did that in the fitness and gym business, sold that for, I think, quite a bit of money. You can talk about money as much as you want. The money stuff sounds cool because it gives maybe some little level of, you know, credentialization of business success. But the bigger thing that I want you to get from Nick, if it's not about money, is what is your goals? Like, how do you decide what you actually want out of your life? What do you want your life to look like? And how do you use vehicles like crypto to do it? And if your goals don't require that, don't do it. There's other ways to do it. And that's some of the stuff that he that he can speak about. And you know, I often hear ideas that have been around forever, cloaked and packaged in a different way. And you know, the whole concept of where's the one that says about result leader, not thought leader. You know, I make this joke about how any idiot could come up with a thought. You know, I mean, like you can steal other people's thoughts and call yourself a thought leader. But a result leader is the ability to produce a result. And this dude, in a short period of time, I've seen him produce crazy ass results. You know, even the Cleater NFT that we have, we wouldn't have been able to do it without Nick. I mean, he's been guiding us and directing us with this. So he knows a lot of stuff. So Nick, come on up. Nick Peterson, give it up for Nick Peterson. And
you want to do interview or you want to just talk?
No, I'd love to have you just talk, and then I'll maybe give the concept of bumpers and how to think about using, even, you know, tell them a little bit about what you're doing and how to get to the goals that they want, so that everyone here kind of can take that framework, and then I'll ask you any questions that I think you didn't talk about.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, I don't really like to raise my voice, so I'll do my best here. A lot of high-performing, high-achieving people in here, obviously. How many people are here or do other things to have more money, make more money? How many feel a little bit left behind? Like you're a little bit behind where you should be?
I'm just going to get my notebook here.
Yeah. Those two things are going to wreck you. And when I say wreck you, and I'll circle back with some fundamental concepts, some assumptions that when I talk to people, they're aware of the assumptions that I'm making, so I'll share those with you shortly. When I say wreck you, I'm going to say it a lot. You're going to get wrecked, wreck yourself, yada, yada, yada. It's a crypto term. What I mean is behaving in a way that is getting you further away from your espoused values, the things that you say that you want. I want to spend more time with my kids. In order to spend more time with my kids, if I had more money, then I could take them on a vacation, so you spend all day at the office and you are getting further away from spending time with your kids. It's very simple stuff like that. I'm assuming, so the assumptions I'm making are one, that you're human and you're aware that you're human. A lot of people, I would say anybody over 50, all of my best friends are over 50. They go, wow, this makes a lot of sense. Damn it, I wish I knew this sooner. Anybody under like 25 goes, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. So most of this room probably has more experience to relate, because it's really about not getting further away from what you want, not blowing yourself up, right? Another assumption is that you are purpose-driven. There's something that you're trying to accomplish. So, how many days should I work out? Should I have a YouTube channel? Talked about it yesterday. What coin should I buy? Should I be in crypto? I don't know. I don't know. It depends on where you're at, where you want to be, and the timeline in which you want to accomplish it. How many people have that information right now? You could tell me what you have, resources you have right now, what you need in order to fund your dream life, and the timeline that you would deem appropriate. Meaning, worst case scenario, I'd be okay with this. Does anybody have that right now? Okay, everybody else, how can you possibly inform your behavior on whether or not you should do a thing? That's my question. Just think about it. Third assumption is that you're okay with open loops. That means I might say something, or anybody here might say something that removes a belief or challenges a belief that you have. And since we're human and we know we are human, we don't like this space, and we will do anything to fill it. How do you know? Proof. Did you go home last night and Google anything? Or did you Google anything while you're sitting here? Anything make you a little uncertain and you're like, I need to know about that right now? The risk is we got a little space, it's very uncomfortable, and we're trying to fill it, and we will fill it with anything that just kind of fits that space, whether or not it actually serves us or not, relative to where we're at, where we want to be in the timeline that is appropriate. Does that make sense? Okay. So, trying to think foundational stuff. Bumpers. Bumpers it starts with, I sat down, I wrote bumpers in like 3.5, 4 hours. People said, how do you have so much success in so many different industries? How do you do so many different things? And I couldn't articulate that I didn't do so many different things. It's the same thing. It looks different. You all have different names. It's the same shit over and over and over. And the fundamental of it is I feel behind. I need more, because somewhere along the line I decided more would solve this problem. Right? Like, I need tools to build this house. Somewhere along the line, we started obsessing over the tools and we forgot about the most efficient way to build the house. Right? So we're seeing, like, okay, you feel behind, you're rushing, you're pushing, you're doing more and more and more stuff. Right? Stuff. More stuff means more resources. You're using more resources. Now you're pushing harder on the gas, like trying to find the NOS button, like where's the nitrous oxide here? And you still got the e-brake on. All bumpers was and still is removing the e-brake. All right, let's take the e-brake off, because we know, given our trajectory, if we don't blow ourselves up, we're probably going to do pretty okay, especially if we're sitting in this room. Right? We were here, now we're here. As long as we don't like keel over and die or have something tragic happen, we're probably going to be okay. Keys of bumpers. First one is what I call the intention intervention gap. It's the first thing I see in people. It pisses them off. It drives them nuts. It is the gap between what you say you value and what your behaviors suggest that you value. People get really triggered because you hold up a mirror and they don't want to accept it's them. They think it's a window. They think you're an a-hole. Right? Cool thing is, I've tricked a lot of people. You hold up a window to a smart person, they still think it's a mirror. They think you're smart. That's how I make smart friends. So we got to be aware of the intention intervention gap. I say I want this. What are the things that I am actually doing, not that I think that I'm doing, that is getting me further away from closing this gap? Does that make sense? You call it a cap gap. Anybody familiar with the cap gap? Cap gap, K-A-P, knowledge, attitude, practice. It's when you go to events and you go to Tony Robbins and you read all these books and your knowledge about a thing starts to change, it expands. Your attitude towards that thing changes and expands. The practice of that thing stays exactly the same. You go to more and more events, that gap gets wider and wider. All these things you know you should be doing, but you're not doing, that's called anxiety. Right? And anxiety is powerlessness multiplied by uncertainty. Right? The wider that gap gets, the more you feel powerless over the fact that you can get there and uncertain about how to do it. I'm throwing this is like 21 hours of content that I'm just throwing out there. Does all that make sense? Cool. So to drive anxiety down, what do? Drive power over the outcome up and drive uncertainty down or certainty up. So my primary company is not actually about crypto, it's certainty. How do we make sure everybody gets what they actually want? All make sense? Cool. Step one is define what you want. Let me tell you why most people in rooms like this, it sounds like a lot of you have, don't do that. Because you're high achievers, you're successful. There's a really good, I also drop a lot of resources. So you can write them down or I can give Joe a list. There is an article by Harvard Business Review called Teaching Smart People How to Learn. It is a deep dive into how the smarter somebody perceives themselves or others perceive them, the less likely they are to learn because it challenges their smartness. And they like to close loops quickly, so they sound smart. They don't like to sit with uncertainty because they have an identity of being smart and successful, right? Big reason people don't define what success actually is to them. For example, I don't have kids, but I use this example. As long as my kids are in the house before they go to school, I need to be home and have dinner with them. That's how I know I'm successful. Now, you can't hide behind your 2 Comma Club award and your Lamborghini because if you're not home by 5 p.m., you're not successful. It really challenges that identity to define, this is what actually makes me happy. Does that make sense? So that's step one. I think Dean Jackson and Joe have what does success look like? I know I'm successful when.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there.
So it's called bumpers because the first step, it's like bumpers in a bowling alley. I just sat down and wrote it, typos and all. I didn't really put much thought into it. So bumpers in a bowling alley, stay out of the gutter. That's step one. Whether it be the way you look or your body weight, the number in your bank account right now, where your business is at. Obviously there's some stuff involved, right? Like COVID happened. We have no control over that. But by and large, those are byproducts. It's an average of everything you've done from the day you were born until right now. Can we agree? You spend a lot of money and then you lose a lot of money and then you make a lot of money, and it's an average of how much you've made, how much you've spent or lost. Your body weight is an average, a rolling average over time of how much you've gained and how much you've lost. Our human nature likes to pretend like New Year's Eve, reset. Yeah, there's no reset button. And the human part of us, the human mindset, I'm sure you've read Daniel Kahneman, System 1, System 2. System 1 is really the human mindset, the impulsive. It says more is the answer. More is the answer. I did $50,000 this month. I got to do 55 the next month, and then 60, and then 70. And what we're doing is we're pushing on the gas with the e-brake on. What happens? The engine explodes. Okay? We also know that on either side of a valley is a peak. So we've got to be very careful about pushing for higher valleys all the time. The core of bumpers is to raise the floor. Raise the floor. Doing better than your best, by definition, is nearly impossible for you. If it weren't, your best would be better than it is, right? going to take a lot of resources. It takes a lot. If you run marathons or anything, or lift weights, it takes a lot to beat your previous best. It doesn't really take that much, as I said yesterday, to do better than your worst. And if we know how averages work and we can agree that the outcome, that what we are right now is an average of our bests and our worsts, then it makes a whole lot of sense that from a resource allocation standpoint, raising the floor will put you in a much better position much faster. Make sense? Can you conceptualize that? Usually I draw. Okay, so we're thinking of rolling averages. I'll give you some quick examples. There's this weird thing that humans do where we self-sabotage as well. We vacillate between chaos and rigidity, right? So the more rigid, the stricter your diet, the more you want to blow it up, right? So the more you push to see a new number on that scale, the more likely you are to have something catastrophic happen, right? Chaos and rigidity. That's what we do. We just vacillate. So in pursuit of more, we typically become too rigid, and it leads to chaos. Counterintuitively, sometimes the way that we improve the average is not being more rigid, right? It's actually being less rigid on our best days, so we're not so chaotic on our worst days. Does that all make sense? Okay. So this is the process of building bumpers. I'll just throw it at you guys real quick. One, and bumpers turn into something else I'll share, and then I'll tie it into crypto. Avoid bad things. Simple enough. Right? It's way harder than anybody thinks because, as many of you know, has anybody been through addiction recovery or lost a bunch of weight, any of that stuff, right? When you have a family member that successfully goes through a 12-step program, we celebrate them, rightfully so. What message does that tell all the siblings that never did drugs in the first place or had addiction in the first place? We're human. We acknowledge we're human. We know that if we're not very, very careful, we will lean towards dopamine. In fact, if I dig myself a hole right now and then dig myself out and share it with you guys, you're going to celebrate me. That's a lot of resources that went into going to ended up in the same place. So learning how to appreciate when bad things don't happen is the fundamental skill. And it's very difficult. We can all say, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's very difficult when people are getting celebrated for fucking up and then making it right. So that said, learn how to appreciate when bad things don't happen, and maybe for the people around you that you care about, express appreciation to them when bad things aren't happening to them. Because we seek that, right? System one. It's not, we don't plan on it, but that human mindset, that system one mind it's tricky. How much time do we have? I'm just going?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so here's how we really think about bumpers. One, in the context of what you want and talk about boundaries, what are your non-negotiables? What are your non-negotiables? Mine are in the book. I have one that is, I will not start something I'm not willing to do forever. That stresses people out. They hate that one. I will not start something I'm not willing to do forever. Why? Because I bias resource allocation and reliability. So if I say, I'm going to go on a meat-free diet, I'm not going to eat meat for 90 days. Is that something I might be willing to do forever? No, which means any benefits that come from it are likely temporary. That does not give me any power over the outcome in the long term. It does not drive certainty up over any appreciable amount of time. And all we're trying to do is get power over the outcome and drive up certainty. That's it, reliability. Are any of you familiar with system reliability? How it works, like from ecology? Okay, the reliability of a system, it's multiplicative, it's a product of the components of the system, right? So a few things happen with our brain, especially when we know it's multiplicative. We do the math wrong. If I flip this light switch at 5 a.m. every day, 90% of the time Joe's pay the electric bill, and 90% of the time the lights actually work, 81% of the time will I get the outcome I expect. 90% times 90% is 81%. Now, if 90% of the time I actually flip the light switch on and the rest of times I forget, Joe will get the outcome he expects 72.9% of the time. 0.9 times 0.9 times 0.9. Make sense? Every component you add to the system drives down reliability. It could drive, this is where people get fucked, excuse my language. It could drive up the potential upside, but it drives down reliability. I bias reliability. As long as I have control, I know I'm gonna get there. Okay, so the argument, that's the math. Now what people do is they think it's multiplicative, so in their brains, like, if I add more things, everything will grow exponentially. But because nothing is perfect, nothing's 100% perfect, do we agree? Then we're dealing in percentages, we're dealing in fractions. It's 99%, 99.999%. Regardless, every component you add drives down reliability. And what do you think in today's age, where the light almost always turns on, the computer almost always works, what is the least reliable component in every single system? Human behavior. So if I only actually behave the way that I espouse that I behave 60% of the time, at best, regardless of the reliability of the program I'm on, the marketing I'm doing, the diet I'm on, I can at best expect less than 60%. There's a less than 60% probability I get the outcome I expect. Right, we're just engineering. So what are we engineering? Okay, so one, non-negotiables. Figure out what they are, there's your boundaries. Okay, two, system reliability, simplify it. If you want control, if you want reliability, I'd much rather know if I do this, this is gonna happen. I'll tie that into crypto in a minute, because what messes people up is, yeah, but I could get a better result if I also add this thing. And I don't play in the land of hope and pray. That's not my world. That's your world, that's fine. Here's why. Because I discovered almost anybody with like any level of competence, like, can engineer what they want. They can engineer what they want. Step one, avoid bad things. That's what Bumpers is about. Let's learn to avoid bad things. And the worst thing in every system, you ever follow a diet? Like, this diet doesn't work. This diet doesn't work. This marketing plan doesn't work. I promise, if we just put the camera on you, you're flipping through these diets, and your behavior is not changing. You're not gauging the efficacy of this diet or this marketing plan or this crypto plan. You're just blaming it because you don't want to look in the mirror. Okay? So this is really getting a handle on, here's how you build your bumpers. We use the science of hindsight. I don't say, hey, how do you spend your week typically? I would say, track your week. How do you actually spend it? We did this in nutrition, we do this in business, we do this in crypto. What is your actual behavior? Because we're going to modify it from there. Not how do you think you act. So I would track a person's week. I don't do this anymore, but we would track a person's week. Where are you spending your time? And it's all over the place, right? You watch more TV on the weekends and yada, yada, yada. And then if we can agree that maybe we should watch the rolling average over time, because it's very volatile. There's industry rhythms. Accountants are always going to have a better month before tax season. Gym owners are always going to have a better month because of New Year's resolutions, right? That's an industry rhythm. So we have to account for that. We have business rhythm. Some people collect payment all up front, some collect payment plans, right? So obviously you should expect, if you collect everything up front, then you may not just be able to extrapolate that out over the year. So these are rhythms, there's personal rhythms. Some people just make really bad decisions around Christmas because they hate the fucking holiday. You know, we have to know this about ourselves. And the way to protect ourselves is get a rolling average over time. It accounts for these rhythms. So if we agree we're gonna look, let's say, at weekly rhythms, we should probably modify our weekly activity, right? So if you spend, what I would do typically is, okay, you spend, keep the math easy, 35 hours a week with your family, but it's all scattered. You know, you fit in here, fit in, fit in, even it out. 5 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just even it out. I want to redistribute this in a way that we can get control. And you can see it. I have an image in my book. Does that make sense? Then we go, how many sleeping, keep that the same, how many hours working, how many this, you know, you just, all your activity, and as much as possible, the things that we can, we even it out. It removes some of the volatility. It helps us get control. We have a feedback loop now, and it's much easier to modify over time. It's much easier to go, you know what, let's go 5.5 hours a week. It's much easier to add 30 hours a day than like try to find these random spots in time and then, yeah, I think I'm spending more time with my family. I'm not really sure. Make sense? It's amazing what happens. Two things happen. One, people tend to be happier. I'll use the nutrition example. One, people tend to lose weight when you say, eat the way you've always eaten, and just track it. And they come back like, you're a fucking genius. I'm eating everything I want and I'm losing weight. You don't realize how much you were just mindlessly eating, and once you have to actually track it, you're like, oh, you know, I'm actually not hungry. But you don't even realize that when you're tracking. So one, people think you're a genius because I'm still eating cupcakes, I'm losing weight. That's every time. So same thing, you start going, well shit, if I have to track this, I don't actually want to do it. Well, then why are we doing it in the first place? So even it out, and then over time, when we start, we just make one adjustment a week. One adjustment a week. Here's what happens. Spend 30 more minutes a day with your family, right? They come back. All right, I'm ready for the next step, because that's what we do. We just want more. Give us more shit to do. Did you do it? Well, yeah, every day except for Saturday, but I'm ready. Like, nope, do it again. You repeat it until your behavior matches the plan. Now we're gauging the efficacy of the plan. Only when that gap is so small that our behavior matches the plan are we gauging the efficacy of the plan that we have. Make sense? Okay, so that's where Bumper started. I wrote it, my business partner found it, gave it out, listed on Amazon, typos and all, and then eventually Joe found it, and now Anna is amazing. She's phenomenal. And now it's a much better book. What has happened since, it's like 5 years ago. What has happened since is we've developed this methodology, and this is where crypto fits in, is I do not believe data-driven people are data-driven. I believe they are impulsive and emotional, and they look at data to justify their behavior. In fact, the only reason I can think of to look at data, right, frequency of exposure, expose yourself to data frequently, is to inform behavior. So another foundational principle of mine is I don't do anything unless the asymmetry is to the upside. I don't take even bets, I don't take shitty bets. Asymmetry's got to be upside. If I look at data with no intent of modifying my behavior, the asymmetry is to the downside. I can only incur negative emotion. And I've already decided I'm not going to change my behavior, so I'm just going to sit feeling shitty. For example, are you going to change your diet and exercise? No, I'm way too busy. Well, then don't step on the fucking scale. Zero benefit because we're not changing behavior, incurring emotional damage. Do that enough times, you start acting really goofy. It's when you throw up your hands and quit, right? It's yo-yo dieting in every area of life. So I track everything, because when I do want to modify my behavior, I want a trend line. I don't want a data point or line, I want a trend. I track everything. But I do not expose myself to it unless I am willing and ready to modify my behavior around it. Make sense? Okay. So, develop this methodology. It's called certainty. How do you get what you actually want? And this is where crypto fits in. Does somebody want to, who has their number and timeline? Some people raise their hands. Yeah, where do you want to be in what timeline?
I want to be 20% higher than
Can you use, please use the thing.
Oh, sorry,
People
yeah.
can hear you online.
Well, first I have to say in what realm?
Life. That's
oh.
This is, remember,
In life.
this is the orientation that I'm going to implore
Yeah.
you to take.
Yeah.
You living the life that you deem,
Yeah.
wow, I'm so glad I worked so hard, this is worth it. It's
Yeah.
all that matters to me. I don't care about anything else.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm really lucky to be pretty much here now. So, there are still some things that I want to be better, including my health.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm giving myself, I don't know, I guess about 5 years while I am still really committed to my work. I think of it in terms of like, what am I really committed to right now? And so I'm, I'm still committed to impacting a lot of people with my work. I still totally enjoy it. And along with that, I'm committed to getting my kids through their young adult life, really having good time with them and a lot of access to them.
So that's great, by the way. Congratulations on being, in a great place.
Yeah.
Then the question is, so this is the question people ask me all day yesterday. Should I be in crypto? No.
Right. And I'm not.
For what? What problem are we solving?
That's right.
Right? That is where we come down to when we want a solvable problem. And if we had more time, I would challenge you on like, okay, how much money do you actually need and what timeline to make sure your kids are, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's what we call it a solvable problem. So we take this, I need more, I need to be happy, I want time with my kids. It's okay, let's assign numbers to it because it's a multivariable equation. And if you know math, like fourth grade math, you can't solve for the variable. And in this case, the variable is your behavior if you haven't defined the other variables, right? Because you change this one and then this one changes, and that's what most entrepreneurs are doing. That's what most people are doing. Oh, I'll just change this. Oh shit, well now this changed. Oh, well now this, and they're just chasing shit around all the time. We want to turn it into like, look, given where I'm at, where I want to be, I'll tell you what mine was. I won't tell you, it's for this reason, this reason, this reason. I needed $15 million extra on top of what I reliably expect to get by my 40th birthday, because I just wanted to never have to work again on my 40th birthday. So if somebody comes and says, you should do, and my partner Dan is the finance guy, I just throw out things that he, I think he said. People are like, oh, you should really get a huge real estate portfolio. Real estate's great. I'm not going to realize that profit by my 40th birthday, so that's probably not good for me and my solvable problem. Nothing wrong with real estate. Right? Oh, you should do a self-directed IRA, and like, cool, when can I access it? I don't know, when you're 52 or 55 or whatever. Directing resources to something I can't access until I'm 50-something is not going to help me solve the thing that I say is most important to me. I have a framework called DALA, D-A-L-A. Direction, or don't act like an asshole, or directions for acting like an adult if that better, fits your sensibilities. Acting like an adult or not acting like an asshole is, do not say this is the most important thing to me and then behave in a way that is not aligned with it. I don't care what your priorities are, right? Me being an asshole might not be you being an asshole. You do the same behavior, it makes perfect sense for you. So the solvable problem is, I need this in this timeline. And when we break it down into, and this is where we're getting to crypto, and then I'll just answer questions if it's helpful, is where am I at? I got real estate, cash, business, I expect this much income. Where am I at? Get really clear on that. And these are things I want to accomplish. And this is a timeline. And of course, there's some things that are dependent, like I can't do this thing until I do this thing. And there's some things that are urgent. We got to work through all that. But we get to a number where we say, okay, I need 40 million by 2032. And I typically say, what is the worst case scenario you would be okay with? Worst case scenario, I know all your brains go, but I want best case scenario. Worst case scenario you would be okay with, because if we could lock that in, boom, locked it in, there's your 40 million, we can then collapse time with higher risk things after we've locked in the thing that's the most important. Because people talk about risk reward. The biggest risk, I will argue with anybody, the biggest risk for you is different than risk for me. The biggest risk is that you don't get the things that make you happy, period. So somebody might go, that's too risky. Well, if it is based on the logic, reasoning, evidence that I have, if this is the most reliable way for me to get what I want, then it's actually risky for me to not do it. It just guarantees that I have no path to get what I want. Whereas you may already have what you want, so exposing yourself to the same risk that I do, that's a huge risk for you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And I'm also, I love what you're saying. And I'm also in the spot where I really recognize that I don't, it's that thing you were saying earlier of like, I don't want to look at something that's gone way down. Like, it's just not, like, the potential for loss right now is way less tolerable for me than having gain. And so, like, when the stock market's all bumping around, I don't even look. I just don't, you know, it's
Frequency
like,
of exposure, yeah.
yeah, because it just makes me crazy and makes me think, well, maybe I should be doing something different. It's like, no, I already decided that.
Well,
I already decided what I'm doing, so I'm not going to look at it.
perfect, right? And we can inform behavior where now we can say, okay, you're here and you want to be here. Given what you have, you're already on track. Or you need 3% a year to get where you want to be. Cool. Stock market will probably deliver that. Right? We don't take any more risk than is necessary to lock in the thing that matters most. But what if I miss this huge crypto wave? Who fucking cares if you have all the things you want in life?
Yeah. And
Very,
especially
very
who
difficult.
cares if you don't look.
Correct. Correct. So here's what we know.
That's been the hardest part of this last few years or whatever. Everybody's like, why aren't you in crypto?
Yeah, well, nobody,
Like, la 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 la.
nobody gives a shit about where you're at and where you want to be, right? Everybody's just like, look, things are going up. Things are going up. And then, of course, everybody buys and it goes down. That's how it works.
That would be me. If you want crypto to go down, have me.
Well, so we'll talk about crypto. Here's what we know. We know that a loss feels worse than an equivalent gain feels good. You just touched on it. We know that. So frequency of exposure, it goes up 50%, down 50%. All day long, you just watch it. Even at a break even, you've incurred a massive emotional loss.
Yes.
Right? We have to know this about ourselves. So if we know that we're susceptible to that, then we do not trade crypto in a way that we're exposed to charts. That's probably where you like give it to somebody else and say, manage my shit.
Yes.
Right? So let me tell you this, and this is, you could say, I'm here, I want to be here, I need this return. This is all that I'll answer questions about crypto and stuff, but it's not about pick a coin. That's the worst way to trade. Pick a coin, like good luck. But if you know over 10 years, you need 16%. How many people are familiar with Anchor Protocol? Yeah, drop it in Anchor Protocol and be done. You know, that's how we decide what we get exposed to. The solvable problem informs behavior. So if we don't blow ourselves up, and we can not have FOMO, not chase, and we have our bumpers up, and we use our solvable problem to inform behavior, we have the highest probability of getting the things that we actually want, and that's all I care about. I don't care if your business is bigger. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm not a crypto maxi. I'm not a ad maxi, marketing maxi. I'm like a, how the hell do we get you with things that make you happy maxi? And that's a combination of many things. So I hope that was valuable.
That was
Awesome.
So what's that damn line you have about games? Do you remember that off the top of your head? How do you say that? So
I haven't even read my book.
Well, you should.
I channeled my angels,
You should see this.
and I just let it ride.
Yeah, you should see this propaganda. No, they have the one that you have about. It reminds me of the thing from Halbert, which is some games in life, the only way you win is you don't play. And it's the part where you talk about. While I'm flipping through his book up here, does anyone have a question? If so, grab the box if you got it.
Oh, it's a simple one. Where do we get your book? Because it's sold out on Amazon.
It shouldn't be. Bring it up with Anna. NickPetersonBook.com.
Okay.
There's two listings. The new one, NickPetersonBook.com will direct to the newest one.
Okay, let's just do one of my.
Cool. And for following your work, do you recommend your YouTube channel?
Oh, I don't recommend you follow me, to be honest. Yeah, YouTube. I actually, where I do most of my work. So I have a thing where, like, I'm the anti-marketer. Joe knows this. I tell him all the time I fucking hate marketers. I'm the anti-marketer. So
Yeah, and there's a good reason for that.
here's what
too.
marketers do. Grease slide, no-brainer offer. What I found is you get lazy people with no brains. So I make it pretty, like, you have to like follow clues to figure out. I have a Telegram channel. If you guys use Telegram, I post most of my stuff in there. It's t.me/Nick Peterson.
We're gonna, hold on, we're gonna do a little video here. Okay, Anna, just in real time, Nick just gave a. Did you guys like the presentation from Nick, by the way? Yeah. His book is showing sold out on Amazon. If you could check
Fix
and
it
see.
or something.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Just send us 50 copies. Get the mic.
You just hand it to whoever has a question. Thank you.
There's 2 listing on Amazon. One is old.
Yeah,
typos.
get the one that just is the plain looking white one. Okay, that's the one. Yeah.
Thank you, Nick, for that presentation. It was great. I sort of kind of speaking Greek to me, but I'm trying. What I love, though, is you talked about all emotions, all decisions are emotionally based, right? And we also have an emotional decision, an emotional connection to money, right? So it's why really smart people don't save for their taxes that they know they have to pay. And then at the end of the year, they're like, wait, what? I have a tax bill? I didn't save any money for that. They're smart. Cognitively, they're smart. But it's that emotional connection. So my question is, to save you aggravation when you decide who you want to work with, do you have some kind of a questionnaire or whatever it is that they can fill out that tells you their money personality and their level of risk aversion?
I would. I don't really work with people.
Oh,
So that's the.
so you don't
we
need
have some programs, but it's just for people that we know really well. The reality is, even if I had a questionnaire, it's like it's a version of the intention intervention gap. I don't think anybody actually knows the relationship with money. You know, like I don't think they're honest about it.
that's true.
What I do is, and I do this in the Wolf Den, and I do this if I speak to people that have all the hours and hours of my other content as a base knowledge, is I just tell them, hey, you don't believe me right now, but this is probably going to happen, and you think you're going to act this way, but you're probably going to feel this and act a different way. And they go, no, that's not me. And then that exact thing happens, and they're then aware of how poor the relationship is with money and data. So I get ahead of it, and one of the reasons, especially with the Wolf Den, I got away from working directly with people. That's one of the reasons is, like, know yourself. I will blow myself up if I have to work at that level with that many people, and I know that about myself.
Okay,
so.
I was just saying because it could help somebody go through those waves of the ups and the downs.
Yeah.
No, I understand what you're saying. It's interesting, like getting to know Nick. He doesn't operate like most people. Like very, very unique, and I know all kinds of. Like I always think of the Star Wars bar. That's what this is, like the Star Wars bar. And he's one of these really mutant sort of people in the Star Wars bar. And he has a really good perspective, on how to look at stuff. And some of it, I guess one way I would say, what interpreting, and you correct me if you think this is not a valid interpretation of sort of what you choose to do, is he'll have a lot of people that are successful that will come into his crypto world, and then he'll show them stuff, and they're like, oh, I love what I do, I love my work, whatever, and then all of a sudden he gives them an alternative way to get to what it is they want, and then it reveals itself along the way that they actually hated what it is they do, but they just didn't know any other better options to get there. And so part of it is his whole thing is just creating like the work and stuff like this, just so he doesn't have to talk to people. Yeah. and he's pretty much an introverted guy who just has he has his wolves that he has, and he has his girlfriend, and he has the things that he does, and he's set up things so that people can utilize. Like his whole business is certainty. I mean, that really is his thing. And the vehicles to get to certainty and to get to what you want in your life is kind of his game, which he has done everything to
not have social media, to not be a guru, to not do any of that stuff. So it's interesting. Yes, I'm trying. Who had the mic first, and then we'll go to okay, and then and then we'll go to you.
I love this, Nick. This is really fantastic. I love the intentionality and all of the thought that you've put into creating this philosophy. It's wonderful. I'd love to add something to this. So my process is really similar. I call it like writing the script for your life. And I have many different writings on like all different areas of my life, where it's like my life view, my ideal self, my ideal relationship, ideal parent, ideal community, ideal life, ideal body and health, physical space, a money mantra, career, business purpose, and then an ideal world. And so what I'd love to share with everybody is actually write a really long affirmation of the vision, and I read this every single day. So I'd love to share what I wrote, one with my relationship with my daughter, and it speaks to also like getting home on time and actually structuring out the day. So I'm a loving and dedicated mother to Sule, that's my daughter. I love her so much and put her needs and desires as a priority. Every day I nurture her spiritual, intellectual, emotional, and physical growth. She is a manifester, and I am the perfect mother to show her the truth of who she really is and the practices necessary to live as her truth. Together we live life intentionally, giving meaning and celebration to every little thing and making magic. I show her respect, love, kindness, and compassion so she may show me and others the same. She trusts me. I am honest with her. She listens to me and follows my leadership. We are kind and respectful to each other. She loves to read. We sing together. We create art together. We do fun things together. I make space for her. Her gut is healed and healthy. Her skin is healed and healthy. Her brain is healed and healthy. Her nervous system is healed and healthy. She is organized. She loves challenges. She is passionate and works towards goals. She is thriving in every way. I let her be the leader. I lean into motherhood and everything it requires of me. I enjoy putting her to bed and holding her while she's falling asleep. I cherish these moments as it's the only time that she will be a child that I can hold and kiss and cuddle. I complete my tasks and block out time for her and give her undivided attention as I would anyone else. She is precious. I cherish her childhood and create magical experiences for us together. We love to play. Everything we do is playful. All mundane things become play and enjoyment. I am blessed to spend the weekends with her. I am blessed to spend the evenings with her. Every moment with her is precious. We live full lives, adventuring and doing activities most weekdays and every weekend. So in there, I write that I'm going to block out the time. And in doing this, infused with all this like beautiful positive things that I write about my child, it feels really, really good then for me to, one, read this every day, and then actually take the action of putting in the systems and blocking out the time in my calendar. Because we tend to do things when we feel really good about it. So this is a way I can kind of sneak in doing the mundane task in a way that feels really light and positive. So I would love to encourage everybody to write out this script for your life, for every aspect of your life in this very uplifting way. I find it a lot easier to get shit done.
That's great. That's beautiful. I will add to that if you don't mind, because that was great. That's when we get bumpers. There's a bit about there's a tribe that doesn't have a word for the color blue. So everybody thought they were colorblind because they couldn't say blue. They just said everything was the same color. But when they had they could organize them by colors, which means they weren't colorblind. They were intellectually colorblind. They didn't have a word for it, but they had a behavior for it. They recognized it. The risk is doing the opposite and having words for things but not behaviors for them, right? So back to this is like the preaching the Good Samaritan because it makes me feel good, and then stepping over homeless people and being rude to my waitress. So it's that 100%, and then we just keep checking ourselves. Does our behavior match our words? That's where most people I said the thing, and then completely fail to behave in a way that's blind.
We'll go to him, and then we'll go to you. And by the way, I found that line, so let me just read it. This is worth writing down. This is a great line. Simple, but it's, nobody wins a race they don't want to be in. Nobody wins a race they don't want to be in. So the question is, even if you are making money and you're succeeding at winning the race, if you hate the race, did you really win? You didn't win anything.
The risk there is but I'm so good at it and everybody wants me to keep going.
I don't know how to go after that answer for that question, but so one of the things I have a internet company and I have a lot of fun with it. It's a lot of fun. But my concern is I see the crypto stuff and I'm like, so many of my friends have been sucked into it. I mean, like they're just obsessive about it, and I don't want to be that way, but I'm also interested and I want to be able to explore it. How do I do that without? I mean, what you mentioned a protocol you mentioned before. How can I explore that without? I mean, part of that's my own personality, but
Yes.
In a way that I'm, seeing some value out of it without actually going overboard like a lot of people have.
My opinion, of course.
Please.
Step one, solvable problem. Okay, so that means because you're going to be reallocate. You're going to necessarily resources in crypto, time, attention, money are not somewhere else. So
Right.
what is the solvable problem? Think about the trade-off. You might, if you actually go through the exercise, go, hey, I actually have 3 or 4 hours a week free. So you can, there's actually not, you're just recapturing something that you're losing to TV anyway, right? So I just recapture, reallocate, and make sure that we're within the solvable problem. So that's one, is solvable problem informs. Okay. The second is your personality. I got into crypto out of just insatiable curiosity. I did not care how much money I made.
Okay.
I built all the things because I know everybody investing in me does care about how much money they make. So there's that. I would go to solvable problem. That's the main, like really, and know why you're doing it, which is like, if you're exercising, I know people that exercise 7 days a week and they do it because it's cathartic, which means, in fact, you get better biceps if you did this split or that split. Like, you're missing the point. I'm doing it because if I do this, I won't kill my husband, So it's really like, why are you doing it? If it's out of curiosity, then it's curiosity space.
Right.
If it is to fund something, then we have to be really clear about the solvable problem and the return we're getting.
I love that.
Right? So it's just, why are we doing a thing?
Right.
I don't understand how people give advice like, you should work out different, or you should run Facebook ads, or you should buy Bitcoin, without knowing any of that stuff. Like, what is it for you? What are you trying to accomplish? Do you actually need it? Some people have goals that, Cleater is one, that it's like, wow, that's ambitious as shit. We might want to tap into the upside of crypto to get that done.
Right.
And there's other things where it's like, I had a client who came to do crypto. She's like, I really want to get into crypto. So why? Because in 5 years, I want to buy a beach house. She has a wife, so she's like, I want to buy a beach house for Christina. It'll be amazing. And that's really important to me. I said, cool. We sat down. I said, Laurel, you're already there. Like, you have this money here, and this money here, and this money here. You're just allocating it in 3 different places because somebody told you 30% here, 30% here. You can actually just take all of that and buy your beach house. And she closed on it the next weekend. So it's like, why are you doing it?
Right.
There is that obsession too, and this is something that I'm constantly challenged with running a group like this. It is so much easier to sell how to make money than fix your head. It just is. I did a seminar in 1999 called Transformation 2009. Nathaniel Brandon, who was one of my dear friends, speak at it. He was the father of self-esteem. So one that literally, he actually had. How many of you know Nathaniel Brandon, Dr. Nathaniel Brandon? Brilliant guy. I mean,
whatever pillars.
Pillars of 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, Taking Responsibility, which was one of his most valuable books that like hardly anyone bought, right? Because no one wants to fucking take responsibility. And I mean, he had an affair with Ayn Rand when he was 20 and she was in her 40s. I mean, he was responsible for like literally positioning her in the objectivist movement as a philosopher. I mean, a fascinating guy. And it was profound. I mean, we had amazing speakers, and it was so much easier selling how to make more money, how to do a marketing ad. And I'm always challenged with this because my marketing brain knows that FOMO drives so much of what people will buy. Right. And my interest in the crypto space, believe it or not, it is a petri dish of addiction. It is gambling addiction. Yeah. It's FOMO 24/7.
Exactly.
And it is just manufacturing people that are already traumatized that get sucked into that. And it is compulsive as hell. And everyone's talking about it. And I won't mention the last name, but there's a guy that goes to Optimize. I've known him for years, and he's actually a member of Optimize.
Right.
And nice guy, caring guy. And he will go up to his name's Dave, and he will go up to everybody and share the latest thing, the latest book he read, the latest app he has, the latest fucking gadget that he has, as if everyone should just do it because in his mind, he gives a shit about it.
I have that tendency. It's built in. When I see bright, shiny things, I have to refrain myself from just telling everybody, you should give a shit about this book or this movie or this thing. I'll still say some of it anyway, because I think I have a pretty good filtering mechanism on it, and I do my best to bring to this group the things, the conversations, the themes, the stuff that will be helpful, because our goal is to build a better entrepreneur. But I'll tell you, for everything that I bring, there's 100 things I don't, because I have to think about it exactly because of what he's kind of describing. Like, does it matter to them? Do they really, you even ask, you know, for me to ever, I don't tell people what success is. How the hell would I know what success is to anyone? We can give them all kinds of mechanisms to do things in their life that may, but you know, the whole notion of the podcast meeting, did I know I'm being successful when, is you're successful when certain things exist in your life that you choose. Because success is a personal thing. And there's so many gurus that are out there telling people, here's what you should give a shit about. You know, and you know, and so you have a whole planet of people that are adopting someone else's value systems, and some of those values are great. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, yeah, great book. 4-Hour Work Week, you know, great. Gary Vaynerchuk, yeah, whatever. If you read, but you know, but people don't want to sit down and write the letter. They don't want it. They want someone else to tell them this is what is success. And you know, and if you're not thoughtful about that, that shit's, you spend your whole life being directed by other people, and you never adopt your own value system or your principles. Yeah.
Right. So I guess back to the question then. So regarding not getting sucked up into crypto, I mean, and I say sucked up, it's just like so many people go, that's why I stayed away from it. I don't do online gambling. I don't, you know, bet on sports games. I don't do stuff like that because I know my personality I don't want to go that route. I enjoy what I like, I have in my life, and I don't want to, that's just not something I want to do. And yet I can see the value of the crypto stuff. So on one hand, I'm like, I don't want to, you know.
I apologize for cutting you off
Please.
there. Value to who? Not to you. You haven't sat down and figured out if it's valuable to you.
Right.
Right. So it's more. You see an opportunity for more.
Right.
That's the human mindset going.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm gonna get left behind.
I have friends
right?
who made, you know, millions of dollars on it, and I'm like,
Believe me, I'm like, even as I say this, I'm sucked into so much FOMO stuff, and I have to be, because it's like I got Tom's disease, which is terrified of missing shit, right? So it's interesting, right? To be like, oh my God, you know, that sort of stuff. I mean, like, and I'll tell you, like, I'm a hoarder. I am a hoarder. If you go around the back rooms in this building, you will see all kinds of shit, but I don't hoard lint and socks and stuff. I hoard like sales letters and books and multi-million, you know, and so I consume like that sort of thing. But the woman, Elizabeth Worth, that wrote Prozac Nation, she ended up dying. One of her follow-up books was called, it was a memoir about addiction. It was called More, Now, Again.
Okay.
I want more, I want it now, and I want it again. And when you get into that cycle, and you're seeing that in the crypto space, and all the fucking marketers that are unethical, they're selling the picks and shovels. This is the modern day version of the gold rush. The ones making the money are
like the internet.
Yeah, now there's money to be made, and there's ways to do it. But the bigger question to take away here is, okay, yeah, if you can allocate time, because that was a great thing about my sabbatical. I actually learned about a lot of stuff that in my normal work life I would have, and I'm still a total infinite understanding this stuff. It's hard for me to wrap my head around it, which is great, because I can talk to someone like Nick, and like he can clarify stuff for me. But you know, so it's not like do it or don't do it. It's just why, you know.
Right.
That if that question comes first. But again, I think it's, you know, and for me, running a group like this, even if I hated it, it would be kind of a disservice for me to not at least bring up some stuff related to crypto. And I wanted to gauge this conversation, see how people responded to Nick, and then sit down with them afterwards and say, okay, now that we kind of see the interest level, what could we share about crypto? And you know, he's doing a 3-day group for his crypto mastermind in my building here next week. Yeah, next week. So we're going to see how this stuff goes, and the best of the best stuff that we can together decide would be helpful for Genius Network members, we'll share it with you. Great. We'll let you know about it.
Thanks so much.
I'll tell you guys all one thing, and then I don't want to take up any more time. This is how you can play in crypto responsibly if you just want to start playing.
Got it.
You do have to do some work. Clarity, certainty, collapsing time. First, be clear on what you want. Write the letter. Okay, certainty means, am I on track? So every month, every week, whatever, you step back, go, am I on track at this trajectory? Am I on track?
Okay.
If yes, you can do 2 things. You can then take the overage and remove risk. If we're on track, we remove risk. Or you could take the overage and gamble with it because it's overage. That make sense?
Yep.
But you have to have really strict rules that you only use your overage, and then you're still that way you stay on track. So certainty first, and then you could try to collapse time once you're on track to get the things that you want.
That sounds easier than it's going to be.
But here's the thing, though.
Good.
Like, this is really an ongoing conversation, though, because a lot of this thing, too, I will default to the Jordan Peterson sort of formula for some questions. He's like, some questions you just can't answer right away.
Right.
Some takes hours, some takes weeks, some take lifetimes. This one, but yeah, there's a lot to ponder here, because I know, like, presenting something like with Nick up here saying this, we could go all day just on this.
Right.
This is ideas having sex sort of thing, right?
Right.
And there's just like, oh, what about this? And what about this? And what about this?
Right.
And so, but it's really good though, because I think, if anything else, I hope this has this conversation so far shifted your perspective in a good way.
It has for me, yeah.
Yeah, I think that happens for most of you here, right? So let me do this just to wrap up, and we'll keep it going. Maybe we'll see how the day goes and stuff. But we'll I know
Thanks,
Nick,
Nick.
I know Nick loves me more than probably any other human that you've ever encountered, and so at some point I can ask him to, we can do a special session or call like related to crypto or something, because if you want.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Yeah. So. Let me just do it, because did you have a question? We'll do 2 more and then we'll take a break, okay? So let's see. Edwin, do you want to ask your question to Nick?
Yes, thanthanks. Great talk, of course. But what are your thoughts of crypto being the new currency? Because, I think maybe because of the financial system, maybe crypto, we don't know yet, of course, but isn't it then almost, how do you say it? That you have to go into crypto then. But I was just wondering what your thoughts about that are. Maybe it's a big question, but.
It's a great question, and it fits right into our methodology, which is solvable problem. So let's say at the end of this year, Jason and I just bought 400 acres up by Castle Hot Springs and a mountain, and we build stuff. Let's say 2 years. I have everything I could ever want. Why do I need to be in crypto? Right? It still comes back to solving your problem. Now, it might make sense if it's your macro belief that cryptocurrency is the future to have your kids dabble in it so they understand it. But as somebody that's 30, 40, or older, saying you need to be in crypto when their dream life is right there, and for the foreseeable future they will be able to pay for it in cash, then I think need is a very strong word, right? That said, cryptocurrency is a little bit of a misnomer. We probably have some other crypto experts. A lot of marketers think they're crypto experts. Very dangerous. Cryptocurrency is a bit of a misnomer in that it's not necessarily all currency, right? Like Ethereum, Polygon, Cardano, those are networks, they're layer ones. They're not actually like peer-to-peer currencies like Bitcoin. Uniswap, PancakeSwap, these are exchanges. The function is so that you could trade cryptos. The token is just because you actually have to have a token for it to be a decentralized project. So there's a little bit of misnomers. Not all crypto is actually designed to be a peer-to-peer currency. There's very few that are. So those may be currency, XRP, you can talk about the stables, but they're all pegged to the dollar. So if you think the dollar's going down, you think those are going down too. There's probably a future of just to give you some perspective, crypto cannot diffuse the way it is right now. Way too many people would get wrecked. It is too dangerous, right? So people want to be protected. We know that, not the people in this room, but you're talking about mass market adoption where you go to the grocery store and use your crypto. When you go to the grocery store and somebody steals your credit card, you can call, you get support, they shut it down, all this stuff. That doesn't happen in a decentralized world. So there's probably a middle ground. There's probably something like what Nexo or BlockFi. There's a middle ground of that we probably don't know what it looks like yet. I think blockchain is absolutely the future. I also think there's a chasm of until something is regulated that's not safe in the eyes of consumers. So it might be 10 years, it might be 20, it might be 30.
Yeah, you know, I think what's funny, the conversation we have, because you're a big Charlie Munger fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you quote Charlie Munger all the time related to, you know what's going to kill you and don't go there, right? So that's sort of a thing. But then I was like, so why is Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett so anti-crypto? And then your reply was pretty simple.
Because they're old.
Yeah, because it's
Like they're like
98 years
100.
old. He's like, yeah, yeah, but it's like, you know, so yeah, but there's a lot we just don't know yet. I mean, we don't know yet, and of course, don't take anything I'm saying like I have any prediction on anything related to currency advice. Michael.
I like the comment you made about data-driven people are typically impulsive and emotional. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Is that the right quote?
Yeah, that's what you got out of it, yeah.
And you had mentioned about tracking your week so that you can pay more attention to your behavior. What does that look like for you? What kind of things do you do? You're just talking about like putting things on calendars, like how kind of detailed do you get when it comes to tracking your week?
It depends on your personality. I am not super detail oriented. I like broad strokes, concepts, principles. I don't remember details. I reason from the ground up every time, which is good because I update my operating system, so I come to different answers every time. So it really depends on your personality, because you've seen my calendar. If you buy bumpers, you'll see my calendar. My calendar will stress a lot of people out. His calendar stresses me the fuck out. Right? So there's a person, like, you really have
Just
to know
because you have
yourself.
to take a nap every day and shit like that, I mean.
Yeah, I have a big blank calendar where I just kind of do. I have a list of, I make a list when I end the day. Here's the things that I need to get done that I know exactly how to do. That's what I start with the next day. And then I have a list of, here's the things that I need to get done, but I don't have the resources, or I'm not quite sure how. And typically when I make that list, my brain will work on it, and I literally work out and nap until my brain figures it out. But
That's why he always has bedhead. I mean, like, even the back of your head, were you napping this morning or something? Like, what the hell is going on here?
it's the Arizona water.
Yeah.
So that's me. But Joe can function. My assumption is his calendar's like boom, 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 and it matches his personality. You know, so you got to know yourself, and then it's as infrequent of exposure as possible. And that's just going to depend on the person. So hopefully that's helpful. I have like I like to live in a vacuum when I'm not traveling. So I could set my schedule and I'll just do the same thing. I'll eat the same thing for 3 years in a row. I don't care. But that's not something you can recommend, because that's not practical for people. So it's really figuring out what works for you and just modifying it from there. You know,
Let me mention this too, because I don't want people to dismiss this, because you said it earlier about the same sort of operating system that has worked for you and the way you think about it. You just apply it to different things as you go through life. And so your gym, you know, how much did you sell your gym for?
I sold my gym. It's still running in Vero Beach, Florida. At the time, I sold it for way less than it was worth, like 150 grand. I just want to be done.
Yeah.
But I made $1 million in profit right before I sold it.
Yeah.
So I kind of considered that my
and
out of here money.
What's interesting is I went and watched the video of how you would market that gym, and it's still up online. Everyone can watch it, right? It's pretty cool. And it just, you know, I mean, you're into helping kids and you're into helping families and stuff. And it was just a really unique sort of thing. And so you've taken this process to, you know, industry to different industry to the thing that you're doing. But anyway, any famous last words, because I know we can end. Here's what I'd like to do, 2 things. Just to kind of gauge, it'll be easier online versus you here, unless everyone's online or you write it down on one of the Genius Network cards or whatever. Any questions, if we were to continue with Nick, what would they be? Not for today, but in the future. I'd love to, like, what does this bring to mind? It could be either a topic to go deeper with, or a question that you would have that you're like, okay, now that I've heard this, here's a question. Type that into the chat, and I will share this with Nick after today, and we'll get a sense of what you got out of this talk and what you got out of this conversation. And is there any famous last words you'd like to? And was there anything we didn't ask you that we should have?
I would say you can't win a race you don't want to be in, but he already stole that. He stole my thunder. So
Yep. Yeah, so let's define the game you want to do and figure out setting up the best conditions to win it. So thank you, sir.
Yep, appreciate it.
Hey, wait, hey, you can't just walk in. Oh, that looks awkward and weird.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. They're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.